Hello everyone, this is going to be our first video in Leetcode 150 playlist. We are going to look at problem 217 contains duplicate. Before starting this problem, let us look at a motivational quote for today. I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done. So we should always give uh, any problem a try, right? So without having to take up an exam or without having to take up a challenge, we do not know the outcome. So we should always try even though we are under capable of solving it. Let us look at the problem statement. Given an array nums, return true if value appears at least twice in the array and return false if every element is distinct. Let us look at the examples. So 1, 2, 3, 1. So here the element 1 appears 2 times, right? And we can return true since there is a duplicate. Similarly, in 1, 2, 3, 4, there are no duplicates and all elements are distinct, so we can return false. Same goes for this one as well, where there are multiple ones, so we can simply return true. There can be multiple occurrences, but a minimum of two occurrences of the same digit, we can return true. Let us look at how we can solve this problem. So there are multiple approaches, but few approaches that we, we, we get as an intuition quickly is one is the brute force approach, where we would be having two for loops and uh, we check if nums of I. So we check for all the other nums in the array with each element. So we would be needing two for loops, and else if all of these completes, then we would simply return false. And the first thing to note here is this would be having a time complexity of n square and space complexity of 1. Obviously, space complexity is the lowest here, but looking at the time complexity, we can see the nums length can be 10 power 5, and this would give a time limit exceeded when we try to execute in Leetcode. So let us look at another approach where we can use an hash map or an hash table. So we can use an hash map or an hash table to run. We can say, let's say, frequency, and we can look for each item in of nums, and return true. So if there is an occurrence in the frequency hash map, then we return true. Else we or we can just simply mark frequency of items as true, so that whenever we see the next similar item in the frequency, then we get a value true, and then we can return true, meaning that the item is already seen. Else, if all of these runs, then we return false. So this has a space and time complexity of open and space complexity of over as hash map, as we are using in hash map, and time complexity as one loop. Okay, so these are the two approaches, but uh, we can have a lot more approach. Maybe I will write in two more approaches. This would be approach 3, where we can use a set. Let's say we add items to the set. So let's say we call this num set, and we move the set, and we can check if num set dot size is not equal to nums dot length. So here we are checking. Firstly, we are pushing the nums array to the set, and later we are checking the length of the set and the array. This is an approach 3, and approach 4 is sorting an array. This could be of space and open space and time complexity. As this would be of 1 and a single set which is of n, so we would be needing n space complexity. No for loop is needed. So this is the most optimal solution. And sorting array and finding the previous, if the previous, we check if nums of I is equals to nums of I minus 1. So if this if we find an element which has its previous element also containing the same value, then we return true, meaning that there is a duplicate. Else, and this would be inside a for loop. And once we run this, then we can simply return false. And this would be having a time complexity of log n, as we would be initially sorting the nums array. And any sorting algorithm would have n log n time complexity, and space complexity would be of n, as we are doing a sort and then storing it in a sorted array. Okay, let's go to the Leetcode editor and let's look at each approach. So with the first approach, we are going to look at the brute force solution, where we have two for loops. approach to one where we are going to iterate through each element, and in the next for loop we iterate to the we look at next set of elements from this pointer which is at I, and we check if each of the elements in the nums array is equal, and we return true with the index I. So index y index I would be the first one, and index j would point to the next pointer from the I, and it will end till the end of the loop. So let's try submitting this solution. And as we know the time complexity would be n square, and space complexity would be O1. If we recall, so time limit exceeded would be a result. And if you see, many of the test cases are still passing through, right? Okay, so let's look at the next approach where we are going to use a hash map, and let's still keep all of these and just create a new frequency hash map. And so if we find a element that is already present in the frequency array, then we return true. Else we mark this element as empty, and we also make a return of false if none of the elements are matching. Let's try submitting the solution as well. And we know the time complexity of this solution would be n, and space complexity would be n as well. So as you see, this solution gets submitted. Let's look at the third approach. So in the third approach, we are going to sort the nums array, and we simply check if a specific element at the item at the index is same as the previous one, and we return true, else we return false. Okay, so let's try submitting this as well. And for this, the time complexity would be n log n, as we are using a sorting function. And lastly, we are going to look at the last approach where we would be having a num set. else if num size is false, then we are not seeing a duplicate. Okay, so let's try submitting this problem. Okay, so this gets submitted as well. So we have looked at the four approaches. If you found this video helpful,